Hey guys, what's going on? Top Tier Gaming here, and today I have the update to my Ancient Gear deck profile for the March 2021 ban list. So yeah, it's been about 2 months since I uploaded my first Ancient Gear list, and definitely the format has changed in a way where there's several changes to the list. Overall, I'd say the list is somewhat similar to my last list, just a few card changes. Um, in the main deck and like one or two in the extra deck, but the side decks also changed a lot because obviously a new format brings different decks. The big thing for this deck going forward from last format is VFD is gone, so you no longer have to worry about a card single-handedly shutting your turn off like VFD or Zexal, and that's super good for the deck. But in particular, two decks are up in the meta right now in this format that is like the new big threat for this deck, and one is Bird Up because the barrier statue is such a big problem, and the second is actually the Shaddoll like Invoke Dogmatica engines and things like that because Schism and Window can shut down your turn hard. So I don't know if I think Ancient Gear is actually better this format with the lack of VFD type cards, or worse because some things have popped up in the meta that is rather difficult for this deck to play against. But either way, I'm going to show my list, explain the choices, and yeah, show you what I'm rocking for the new format. So starting off with the one Ancient Gear Golem, my Ancient Gear lineup is pretty much the exact same as my previous list. Ancient Gear Golem, just the all-star of the deck because so many cards work with him, and getting him out on field is good because Ancient Gear Fusion will be able to send materials from deck. In a lot of like hands, you just want to get him on the field to make very easy Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. But you don't want to run too many of him because he is a brick at the end of the day. We want to minimize on bricks. Ancient Gear Golem, obviously not like the best draw in the world unless you can extend into him from your hand. But yeah, you have to run the one. I don't run any Ultimate Pound because yeah, we don't want to add any more bricks to the deck. The one Reactor Dragon, you don't need more than one of this either. It's like a win condition in the deck, which is very cool because you can like Gear Town into it. And it's just a very big beater that can pop back row, so it's a very good card, but again, drawing multiples of it is not ideal for sure. Like, you don't even have to see it half the time, you just want to make double Chaos Ancient Gear Giant and kind of win the game from there. But it is nice to have an alternate win condition or an additional extender that can just be a beat stick, so we do play the one, and it is level 5 or higher, which is relevant for one of the best cards in the deck. 3 Ancient Gear Wyvern, just the best Ancient Gear card, or best Ancient Gear monster because it can search any Ancient Gear card, which is very nice to make sure you have your combo pieces, to make sure you can fusion summon and do your full combo and just OTK. This deck, for those who don't know, is very hard go second. You just want to take your first turn going second and OTK on that turn, and it's very easy to do with Ancient Gear, and it's one of the things I enjoy most about this deck is like its way it just goes for game. But yeah, Wyvern just it's a combo piece you want to extend to and then just get other combo pieces. It's level 4, so it helps make Dugaris. It's just very good. Likewise with Ancient Gear Frame. It's another starter just like the Wyvern, but this can only search Ancient Gear Fusion or Ancient Gear Golem, but it discards a card, which is relevant for things like Catapult, so it has its uses. You don't want to open it like you do Wyvern, so we do play one less of it. However, you need to make sure you keep a decent Ancient Gear monster count so that if you're sending materials from deck for Ancient Gear Fusion, you have enough, so you don't have to use too many resources. And then the one box, it's like a brick you don't want to draw, but it's like such an important combo piece that you have to run it. And it has Ancient Gear in its name, which is important. So yep, still rocking the same exact Ancient Gear lineup of 8 Ancient Gear monsters. Yeah, this has just worked wonders for me. I've like done really well with the deck with this ratio, and a lot of people watched my last list and they enjoyed it thoroughly, and yeah, this is just what's been working for me. If you want to play Hound, I think Hound is a very suitable option in the list. I still, throughout all of my games, have not needed him, and that has not changed from my last profile. But yeah, if you're adamant about playing him, I think he's like an alright card. So yep, just 8 Ancient Gear monsters. And then we have the Infinitrack engine. It's changed a little bit. It's now 1 Anchor Drill and 1 Trencher. Because we've added another card that sort of helps this engine, we're able to play this more minimalistic package of the Infinitrack monsters, because one thing that really stinks is drawing multiple Anchor Drill, and that could happen in my list with 2. Like, it may look really weird, but because of, I'll just go ahead and show it. Because of heavy forward, like this card can be either one of these. So it's like we're still playing the same like ratio of Infinitrack monsters, just now it's a little better. And there's another reason for heavy forward in the list as well. But yeah, these are just extenders and are very good with urgent schedule. So definitely mandatory run. They can be searched with box, and yeah, essentially you just want to get to Ballista as fast as possible. So Anchor Drill being an extender is great for that. And then 2 of the Bullet Train. So this was Dairy Crane in my last list, and I do still think Dairy Crane's an amazing card for the same reasons I said. Its ability to chain block is super, super good. But oftentimes, if you just like can't get to game and you have Dairy Crane can't actually do like a lot of damage because it halves its attack when it comes out. But yeah, I've swung for game with the Bullet Train quite often. It does have a nice effect where you can bring things back in the end phase if you use it as a material. It doesn't come up often because you're supposed to win on your turn. I mean, like, you can get into the grind, so it is a nice effect, don't get me wrong, but it's not that relevant. But honestly, all this is an extender to make Ballista. That's its main use, but if you can make Ballista and then just extend with this is just 3k attack for game, right? So, very, very good card. A new addition to the deck for the current meta is 2 Godarla. So, main decking Kaijus is something I wasn't doing in my last list because I didn't think it was needed. It's not great versus VFD. It's like alright versus Zexal, but now it's mandatory. The Wind Barrier statue will lose you the game, and you can't run things like Impermanence or Forbidden Chalice to like stop it because it can't be targeted. So Godarla fills the role very nicely, as well as just being out to a Dragoon and just a great going second card. Like, your hard goes second, so seeing Kaijus isn't that surprising. Also, like, one of the things this deck is weakest against is if your opponent knows what Ancient Gear do. They can just like set one monster and pass, or do nothing and pass, but if they set one monster, you can still just like Kaiju it, and then you have a target for Ballista, which is very important. You want to make sure your opponent has at least one face-up monster, which is why you go second, so that you can use your Ballista and extend with it. So, yep, Godarla is just a very good card for going second, just super, super good in general. And then one of the most important cards in the deck is still the 3 Gamma and a Driver. Too important. We have literally a billion spells that activate with no monsters on field, or can activate with no monsters on field. So Gamma is so important for hitting the Ash Blossoms, or yeah, I guess specifically Ash Blossoms, the biggest one you want to hit with Gamma, but other Gammas possibly. Like, just like, it can also stop things that would negate your stuff. Like, if you were to, I guess, like Cosmic Cyclone a back row and they negate with something like Mechaba, right? Then you can Gamma the Mechaba. So it stops more than just Ash Blossom and hand traps. It can actually help break boards as well. And it's just a super good card. Like, Gamma's just so good. I mean, your hard goes second, so yeah. This is actually the only hand trap we played despite being hard go second. That's because hand traps attempt to stop boards, while Ancient Gears actually want your opponent to build some of their boards so they can break it and swing for game. Like, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant profits off your opponent having more monsters. So the more they extend, as long as you can make your Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, the easier it is for you to win. In fact, the hardest games to win are like the games where your opponent only has one monster. So yeah. On to spells, 3 Extravagance. So Extravagance over Prosperity, because you can kill through Prosperity. Prosperity actually halves the damage you do if you activate it before your battle phase, right? So that's something a lot of people know but tend to forget. So you can kill through Prosperity if your opponent has multiple monsters. Like, if your opponent has 2 or 3 monsters, you can Dagaris your Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, and you're probably going to swing through like for more than 16,000 damage and just OTK and deal 8,000. But the issue is when your opponents have like 1 monster or 2 monster, you're not going to kill through Prosperity more than likely unless you have the absolute stones. So like, Extravagance not only gets you 2 cards to assist in comboing and breaking your opponent's board, but you can like always kill through Extravagance. So yeah, we are still sort of forced to play Extravagance even though Prosperity is a card. And then the best card in the deck by far, 3 Urgent Schedule. When you open this card, it is just almost always game. It is so good. You get your Anchor Drill and your Trencher, and then you just go into Ballista for free with no normal summon, and you get another extender in the form of the Trencher. It is absolutely insane, and this is another reason you want to be hard go second, is so you can just activate Urgent Schedule. And it's just such a powerful card. It's a card you really want to open. You have so many targets too, so like if you draw Anchor Drill and Trencher, all your level 4 lower Ancient Gear monsters can be summoned. Reactor Dragon can be summoned for the level 5 or higher. So yeah, you have plenty of targets to activate this. It's just like never dead. But yeah, 3 Urgent Schedule for sure. Then on to some of the more core aspects of the spells, like the triple Gear Town and the 1 Terraforming. Maximizing on this just so if we do draw Catapult, we want the highest chance possible to draw Gear Town with the Catapult. And honestly, any face-up continuous spell in general for Catapult, like we want to resolve the Catapult. But yeah, Gear Town, one of the main cards in Ancient Gears. And then here is the 3 Catapult. One of the most powerful cards in the entire deck, but like the card you're going to brick on most often, because if you draw this without seeing a continuous spell, it can be kind of bad. Like your best play is to discard it with Gear Frame and like use it to pop something, which is just not that great. But yeah, you just want to use this in combination with Gear Town to like have full combo. It's about as good as like Urgent Schedule. It's a super powerful 2-card combo, and having like this card, like this 2-card combo and the addition of Urgent Schedule, it just gives you a lot of options to like have super powerful plays and combo out for games. So yeah, triple Gear Town or triple Catapult, we want to maximize on that. 2 Fortress, this is like our Miscellaneous Saurus. You activate it and then your opponent can't hand trap you. Or they can hand trap you with certain hand traps, but they can't respond to your Ancient Gear cards and effects, which is very powerful. And then Ancient Gear monsters can't be targeted or destroyed. Like this card is ridiculous, to be honest, and honestly it usually baits a negate because your opponent won't be able to negate a lot of your plays past this point, so it usually baits a negate as well. Also, it has a cool revival effect, which is nice in some hands. It is really nice in the hands where you don't have to make Verte Anaconda, unless you make Verte first and then pop this, which is fine. But yeah, it's really good at like recursion, and it's just a super powerful card. And then the 1 heavy forward I showed earlier. So besides being able to search an Infinitrack monster on play, your opponent can Ash this card as opposed to like an Infinitrack normal summon, which gives you another opportunity to Gamma, which is really cool. But also it's a face-up continuous spell for your Catapult, right? So this gives you another thing you're able to pop with Catapult, and having more continuous spells is just very nice. So the 1 heavy forward. And the reason it's only 1 and not more of it with a larger Infinitrack package is I just had to fit like board break cards. The list is already 42 cards, and I'm already cutting some engine for board break because you have to in a hard go second list. So yeah, 2 Ancient Gear Fusion and 1 Overload. This is really for the Verte Anaconda, and the double Ancient Gear Fusion is just to get your plays off, right? Because this is a fusion deck at the end of the day. You want to be able to make your fusion monsters. Then main decking 2 Cosmic Cyclone. This is also different from my last list, and yeah, it's just because Schism, right? Schism in the Shaddoll matchup is just too horrifying. I mean, there's just a bunch of really good back row this format, like Tidying and Dragon Link and Schism and Punishment, Ice Dragon's Prison. They're all just really good cards you want to get rid of. So Cosmic Cyclone. I was actually main decking Twin Twister for a while. And like Twin Twister, you can still play over this, but this is also good versus Eldritch, as well as just like hitting really annoying trap card. Like banishing Schism with Cosmic Cyclone is technically better as well, because they can't bring it back with like Window or whatever. But this could be Twin Twister that needs more testing. I just like how easy it is to Cosmic Cyclone and not lose a card off of it. So yeah, I'm running Cosmic right now, but it's no lie that Twin Twister's higher impact, so it may end up being Twin Twister anyways. The main deck Harpy's Feather Duster, again, we're hard go second, and back row is evil. So 2 Cosmic and a Feather Duster. The 1 Called by the Grave, just like the most versatile card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And super powerful at stopping hand traps. And then Red Reboot. Again, just very high impact back row removal, so this is what our back row removal looks like. Honestly, like, you can't run too much back row removal because then you might not see combo, which sucks. But yeah, you just want enough so you can play going second, right? And we do side more, so I'll get to that when I get to the side deck. Onto the extra deck, some ratios are going to look funny because we're running Extravagant, so we are maximizing what needs to be maximized, and gives us less versatility in the extra deck, but honestly, you don't need it. You just want to see your plays. 3 Ballista. in my last profile, I said Chaos Ancient Gear Giant was the most important one you didn't want to see banished. That was just wrong. This is the one, because I never, like, when I did that profile, in all the games I played, which was a lot, I actually never had 3 Ballista banished, which was really lucky. And since then, I've had it once or twice happen where all 3 Ballistas were banished. And unless you open good, yeah, having no Ballista can suck. Like, you can open an amazing hand with Urgent Schedule and just get nowhere because Ballistas are banished. But yeah, this is the card you definitely 100% want to maximize to as many as you can, because you just want to be able to see 1. You only need 1, so we're playing 3 for Extravagance. 2 Verite Anaconda. I mean, this is just very good with your Overload Fusion. It helps make 2 Chaos Ancient Gear Giant, which makes it very easy to win. Just a very obvious choice. Then we're running 1 Howitzer and 1 Megaton. These are just like one-ofs. You don't care if Extravagance banishes these too much. Honestly, like, you do care a little bit about Howitzer, but there's really just not enough space for... I mean, you could honestly take out this Megaton for a second Howitzer. I, like, almost never make this card. It comes up very, very rarely. But it is still nice to have. And Howitzer's really good because it can burn for a K and play the role of a weird extender by getting Ancient Gear monsters out of your hand to make a monster on field. So I've used it as an extender to make Ballista several times, which is very cool. And fill up the grave for Overload Fusion. 2 Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, because this is another win condition besides Chaos Ancient Gear Giant if they all happen to get banished off of Extravagance, because this plus Dugaris over a 0 attack monster because of Ballista is game, so yeah. And then 3 Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. He's your main play. He's what you're going to be making at least 1 or 2 of, because this is the card you're trying to go for game with. I mean, it's just like Tyranno on steroids because it's 4,500 attack and does actual like piercing and stops your opponent from activating monster effects in the battle phase. Just very, very powerful card, unaffected by all spells and traps. It's just such an insane win condition. It feels so easy to win some games because of the way he works. And then I run 1 Scrap Dragon. In my previous list, I ran a Barredo, and I just didn't read that Barredo takes a machine non-tuner, I believe. So yeah, you can't make Barredo, but that's fine. Scrap Dragon is really the only one you need. You can find room for Omega, because Omega gives you another level 8 Synchro. But I think Scrap Dragon is the best one because it can pop Gear Town. And the fact that your hard goes second, you can like just summon this after you break their board with Gamma, and then you can tribute or essentially pop the Scrap Dragon to pop something else. So Gamma's like getting rid of 2 cards by itself, which is great, but also again being able to pop Gear Town is very, very good. So I think Scrap Dragon is the best level 8 synchro you can run in this list. And then 2 Dugaris. You bump up Chaos Ancient Gear Giant or Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, and you swing for game. Simple enough. You don't really use its revival effect or its draw effect. You just want to pump for game. And there's the extra deck. Onto the side deck. It's a really interesting side deck, and the reason I wanted to show the side deck in this profile is simply because Ancient Gears are such a weird deck to side with, because you don't need that many cards for going second because you're already playing like this board break strategy. You do side more going second cards, obviously, for breaking your opponent's board. My go second side actually isn't as polished as I'd like it to be. I'd like there to be a 3rd Gadara in here for sure. Maybe I should add Books of Moon as well, but this is what I'm rocking right now. It's really the go first side that's the most important, because going first in Ancient Gears is very, very hard. So siding for going first is very important in case your opponent makes you go first. So we have 3 Lancia. This is good versus Bird Up, so maybe they can't bring the statue out. If they don't get into their Leolisk engine, this can stop them from getting there, so that's pretty good. It's just good versus dinosaurs as well. This is the only hand trap I think I play besides Gamma, period, but Lancia is amazing this format. 2 Alpha and a Pankratops, so I think this is just really good go second cards in general. They can outboards. On their own, they're very high impact, and yeah, as long like while Dragon Link exists, these are just very good cards to deal with Dragon Link boards. So 2 Alphas and a Pankratops. Then the 3 Twin Twister, because I said I was siding more back row removal, and Twin Twister is pretty high impact back row removal, so definitely going to play Twin Twister. And then the going first side, which is the most important. In my previous list, I was playing the Shared Ride Dogwood package, which worked. It was a really cool package, and I enjoyed playing it. However, I just wanted something, I guess, more consistent, or could do it, like, yeah, more consistently, maybe even stronger, and just overall better. And they're cards that are, like, good enough floodgates that can stop your opponent from making, like, their full board, or stop them pretty hard. But still let them like summon stuff as well, and they're chainable, which is great. So 3-dimensional barrier. I mean, yeah, this card is really good against a lot of decks. Like against Shadal, this is amazing. Against Dragon Link, it's okay. It has some matchups where it's just like all right, but yeah, last format this was crazy because of Virtual World and Drytron, but now it's still good, but it's not like super amazing. But we also have DDG, which is so good versus so many strategies. And yeah, you can like side these in when you're going first, like if you know your opponent's going to make you go first, and they can usually floodgate and get you to going second. And that's what I'm doing for a go first side in this list. You could run Heat Wave, like someone brought that up to me in my last profile, and I was like, wow, Heat Wave's really good. But the problem is Heat Wave actually floodgates them too hard. Like, they don't get to summon a monster, so it passes back to you with your opponent having not made a play, and you can't make a play either because your opponent couldn't summon a monster. So yeah, that was the issue with Heat Wave, but I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. If you did, feel free to leave a comment saying if you like the changes or how you think I should take Ancient Gears and like what direction. You agree with my choices? What would you change? Anything like that. But yeah, this was Top Tier Gaming by YouTube.